Hello everyone, welcome to our today's class. Today we are going to talk about Ichimoku Kinko Hyo studies, one of the most popular indicators, I would say, among traders, although it's not very new and it's not very old, pardon, and it lasts at least in the Western world for past 15-20 years. But it proved its popularity among the traders due to the simplicity, despite it looks complicated, and providing as a single indicator, providing a number of useful information for traders. So today we're going to talk about, we're going to take a look into the indicator and see how it works, how it's created, and what kind of information we can get from this indicator. Its full name, it's the Ichimoku Kinko Hyo, more known among traders as Ichimoku studies, popular technical indicator, as I said, and providing a number of information. So it's basically all-in-one indicator that gives multiple information compared to the other indicators that have a limited information regarding and are focused on one indication, while Ichimoku study is providing us more information, and that's why it's popular among the traders. It provides information about price trend, direction of that trend, strength of that trend, support and resistance levels, and also the future levels of support and resistance, which is very important for those who are not intraday traders, so they can adjust their stop and profit orders before the market reaches these levels. They can have information actually where those levels lay, and can adjust their orders. Ichimoku can be applied on any tradable market, so it does have restrictions or limits. Works with all financial instruments, and it's quite simple, despite that looks complicated at the first sight. Its name, it's in Japanese, and translated it means one look equilibrium chart, meaning that traders just need to have one look and get multiple information, which is a quite advantage in nowadays trading, when a lack of time and lack of pace in trading could be very important. So when we have one information, number of information in just one indicator, this is a great saving of time, and we can adjust our trades and make more reasonable profits during the trading. As I said, it may look complicated, but proves to be simple and easy to use. What is important that you need to understand how it works, what each line represents, and the correlation between these lines are giving us trading signals. Quick look at the history of the Ichimoku indicator. It was developed in Japan by a journalist called Goichi Hosoda. It was just before the Second World War, and he created something that wasn't perfect at the beginning, so he hired a number of students to assist him in testing and fine-tuning the indicator, compared to today's computerized way of checking. At that time, it was all done on the paper, but it took him nearly 30 years to perfect the technique and the fine-tune indicator before it's released in late 1960s. Basically, it was released in 1968 in the shape that we know today. Ichimoku indicator that combines various trading signals and strategies and gives multiple information. After it's been created and released, it was quite popular in Asia. In a number of trading rooms, traders and analysts were using Ichimoku studies as a very useful indicator, but it lacked popularity in the Western world, mainly due to the insufficient information translation, basically, of how it works. And it appeared first at the beginning of 1990s, but it was classified as a group in the group of exotic indicators, so something that is new, something that is not checked, something that is not tested. Basically, it was mainly due to the those who promoted the indicator were not fully aware how it works and what are the advantages. So for a number of years it was seen as an exotic indicator, and it wasn't very popular in the Western world, while it gained popularity at the beginning of 21st century, when it became one of the top tools among the traders, when the traders fully understood the features and the power of this indicator, a system of indicators, and started using it more frequently. How it is built, actually, the Ichimoku indicator comprises of 5 key components. We have three lines, basically 5 lines, 2 of which are forming the cloud, which is one of the key features of the Ichimoku studies. So the first one, it's called the Tenkan-sen line. We will take a look later on in our chart, and I will show you in details how it looks. So Tenkan-sen, or also called conversion line, it's the faster moving. Basically, I need to say that all these lines are working on the principles of moving averages, so it's quite similar. If you go back, recall our previous classes when we talked about moving averages, principles are more or less the same. So there is no something new or more complicated that would make our lives more difficult. On contrary, we are going to get more information and much faster than we had initially thought. So the Tenkan-sen line basic calculation is when you add the highest high and the highest low of past 9 periods, and then that number that you get, you divide by 2. So this is a faster moving line. It represents initial support or resistance level, and also could be signaled for reversals in case the price violates this line, either on the upside or on the downside. So we have initial signal that the existing trend might be changing if the let's say if the uptrend, we're talking about uptrend, if the price reverses below the Tenkan-sen line, we have initial negative signal, or if we have downtrend and the price breaks above Tenkan-sen line, that's initial positive signal that the trend might be changing its direction. Next line is the Kijun-sen, or baseline. This is a slower one, type of moving average, and it's calculated by adding the highest high and the highest low over the past 26 periods, and then the results that we get, we divide by 2. So the Tenkan-sen is based on the 9 periods, while Kijun-sen is based on the 26 periods. So this is the difference. And of course, lower number of periods in the indicator shows signals that the indicator is more liquid and more faster moving. So in this case, the Kijun-sen line represents the key support or resistance level, and the violation of this line could be used as confirmation of the trend change. So basically, if we have a change of the trend, initial violation of Tenkan-sen, and then this is initial signal, and then break above or below Kijun-sen would come as a confirmation. So we will have a strong signal of change. Before we move further, I would like to show you how it looks on the screen. So we are now on the chart with the Ichimoku studies, Euro-US dollar pair, the daily chart. So basically, the blue line is the pardon, the red line is the Tenkan-sen, the faster one, so 9-period line. Blue line represents Kijun-sen line, the slower one of 26 periods. And as you can see, they move as moving averages and work at the same principles, crossover, following the price, tracking the trend, change of the trend in case of breach of the line. So more or less the principles are the same. So what we have today, the latest signal was that the price broke above the Tenkan-sen line and extended above Kijun-sen line. So we have initial signal. We are talking about these two lines. Later on, we'll come to the rest. So we have initial signal here and confirmation here. So the trend is changing. We had existing downtrend, and we have initial signal that this trend might be changing and reversing to the uptrend from initial pardon, the downtrend. Now, back to the screen. The third line, important line, is Senkou span A, or leading line A. This line marks the edge of the cloud. Cloud is the key feature of the study. It's called also Kumo in Japanese. So you can hear analysts talking about Kumo or about cloud. It means the same. It is calculated, the line is calculated by adding values of Tenkan-sen and Kijun-sen line. And then this result is divided by 2 and plotted 26 periods ahead. Not very important to have details about this all the time. It's good to know how it's calculated, but since we have the indicator ready in our trading systems, our lives are much easier. So we just know the main principles, how it's created, and more important, how it works. So how we can get the signal from this. And this is quite enough. So the Senkou span is the, again, faster one that marks the one edge, either upper or lower, depending how the cloud moves. And the next one is Senkou span B, or leading line B, which marks the opposite side or the other edge of the cloud or Kumo. And its calculation is different. We can see it's calculated by adding the highest high and the lowest low over 52 periods. And then the result is then divided by 2 and again plotted 26 periods ahead. So let's go back to our chart to show you how the cloud looks. We saw it already on our previous presentation. So this is the cloud, the one in the color is the cloud. Now, faster line, it shows it's the Senkou span A, so it's our first line. We can see it here. And the slower line is Senkou span B, the leading line B, the other edge of the cloud. So these two lines form the cloud. The difference between them defines also the thickness of the cloud, and the cloud itself acts as a support or a resistance depending on where the price is. So we have Senkou span A and Senkou span B, and they form the cloud. Cloud could be descending, ascending. A cloud could be twisting also, as we can see here. And this is about cloud. We are going to come back to this in a while. Let's go back to the last line, which is called Chiku span. It's a lagging line. It follows. In our graph, it's in lime color, so we're going to change it into something more visible. So this is the one, and it represents current period's closing price. So it's at the end, let's make it a bit thicker so we can see better how it is. So the Chiku span is currently here, so we're at the last closing level, but is 26 periods back. So it's again used as additional information of possible areas of support or resistance. I do apologize, I did not change the screen, so now we can see it again. Chiku span is this purple line, and we can see that it's at the level of the last closing price. It's just shifted 26 periods back, and it's basically lagging, following the market, while these two are more leading indicators. The Chikou span is lagging. So we have 5 key components of the Ichimoku studies that create all this story and give us information. Number one is in our case, is the red line, Tenkan-sen. The second one is the Kijun-sen line, so 9 period, 26 period. Then we have Senkou span A, one of the edges of the cloud or Kumo. Senkou span B, the other opposite edge of the cloud, and Chikou span lagging line 26 periods back at the current closing level. That creates Ichimoku study, and we'll see again back to the screen with the text. We're going to talk now about cloud. As I said, cloud Kumo is the most prominent feature of this indicator. As we already mentioned, it's formed by 2 lines, Senkou span A and Senkou span B. Senkou span A is the faster, as it is average of Tenkan-sen and Kijun-sen lines calculated with the 9 and the 26 periods, while Senkou span B is the slower one, which is created on average of 52 periods. Again, to repeat, it all works on same principles like moving averages. So there is no something very difficult in this case. Just to mention that, as we see, shorter period line is more sensitive and moves faster than the longer period line. So we can again take a look at our chart. We can see that red line, which is shorter period, is more liquid, more sensitive and faster moving, has bigger oscillations than the blue line, which is comprising of more periods, so it's slower, it's less liquid and less active. So we have a big oscillation of the initial Tenkan-sen line and the less oscillation of the Kijun-sen line, and creation of crosses, bear or bull crosses, meaning that we are getting signal bullish and bearish depending on the direction. And finally, we have this Kumo cloud, which is one of the most important features in whole study. As we said, it's created by Senkou span A and Senkou span B. We can also make the lines of cloud in a bit darker color so you can see it better, or it's just to return back. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake with this. This must be red, and up Kumo is black, and down Kumo should be in some lighter color. Let's put this one. So we have the so when the cloud is descending, it's in let's say red color, or ascending cloud is in the blue color. How do we recognize? Descending cloud has the faster border, so-called Senkou span A below. And the thickness of the cloud, of course, marks strength of the resistance or support that it provides. And usually it acts as a good barrier for certain movements. I'm trying to see if we have a good sample when the cloud was in all these cases we had a breach. Okay, we can take a look at this chart. Meantime, let's again go back to our text just to see. We need to see the features, how it works, and what information does it provide to us. So the first important thing is a trend and trend direction. The price movement on Ichimoku studies is shown by the Tenkan-sen and Kijun-sen line, as well as cloud. And the trend direction defines also trend direction if the price is moving above these two lines and above cloud. This is signaling the uptrend, or vice versa if the price action moves below the Tenkan-sen Kijun-sen, and this usually it's reinforced if it moves below the cloud. And while the price is within the cloud, we have a sort of neutral signal, so sort of sideways trading, and we need firmer signal, which will come when the price emerges out of the cloud. The next important is the trend strength. So as we said, Tenkan-sen and Kijun-sen line are the first indications, but the uptrend, in case of uptrend, it's confirmed or strengthened when the Senkou span A, the faster leading line, is ascending and is above Senkou span B, so which is the slower line, so it creates us ascending cloud, while on the opposite scenario, the downtrend is reinforced when Senkou span A moves lower and crosses below Senkou span B. So in this case, we have a so-called cloud twist, and we have this in a number of samples, so we're going to take a look at this also. And important to mention that the entire cloud is shifted forward 26 periods and ahead of the last price, so it could indicate future support and resistance points. That is very important for traders that I mentioned at the beginning of presentation. Those who are longer term traders, they can always spot good points where to exit market, as well as putting a stop loss order. So we have some future information provided by Ichimoku studies that could be very useful for traders. The price action, Tenkan-sen line and Kijun-sen line generate faster and more frequent signals, trading signals. So initial positive or bullish signal comes when the Tenkan-sen crosses above Kijun-sen, and the signal is reinforced when the price crosses above the cloud. So we have initial signal on crossover of Tenkan-sen faster line above Kijun-sen slower line, and the confirmation of this uptrend comes when the price emerges above the cloud. On the other opposite scenario, initial bearish signal is generated when the Tenkan-sen, the slower one, crosses below the Kijun-sen line. So we have initial negative signal, and which is reinforced when the Tenkan-sen line when the price action crosses below the cloud, or Kumo. And now we're going to take a look at a few samples how it works in reality. So let's find a good sample for our studies. Let's say we have a signal of downtrend. So initial signal came when the faster line, the red one, Tenkan-sen, crossed below Kijun-sen line. They were before running in the bullish action. So we can start from here even. The price moved above Tenkan-sen, which was initial bullish signal. The price crossed above the Kijun-sen, which was the next signal, and Tenkan-sen crossed above Kijun-sen here, generating next bullish signal. So the strength of trend was quite high as the pair run, in this case Euro GBP, but this is irrelevant. It can apply on any tradable market or instrument. And then we had the next signal or confirmation, signal on breach into the cloud. Cloud usually itself acts as resistance or support. In this case, the thickness of the cloud also plays an important role. So if we have the price action moving below the cloud and the cloud is thick, that means that the price action would likely struggle to penetrate that cloud, and vice versa, thinner cloud, or when the cloud twists like here, or where we have it, another one here it was, this usually, not always, but it acts as magnetic, so it attracts the price action. So we had something like this. The thinner cloud attracted this move lower. But let's go back to our initial picture. So the price moved within the cloud. Now it comes confirmation of what we spoke previously. When the price holds in the cloud, this is initial signal that the action is lacking clearer direction signal. So we had the sort of sideways mode for I would say 2 weeks here. The price was moving within the range, within the cloud, without a clear break, but expectations were still to the upside, as we had the initial signals on lift above Tenkan-sen and Kijun-sen line of the price action, and then bull cross of the Tenkan-sen above Kijun-sen. So next signal we were waiting, and the price stayed above faster line Tenkan-sen, the red one. So we had the initial indication that trend would likely extend higher before it basically happened. Confirmation of this came on a breach above the cloud top. In this case, it was Senkou span B, and the price action again accelerated higher after generating a positive signal on break above the cloud, as both lines were running higher and in so-called bullish setup. So bullish setup is when the faster one is above the slower one and they are heading north. So we had the number of initial signals which got confirmation on break above daily cloud, and the price action continued to stay above the slower line Tenkan-sen for some time. Once the price peaked, Tenkan-sen started moving more to the sideways mode and started holding somewhere in the middle of this range, suggesting that something is developing. So we already had initial signal somewhere here that the bullish action is running out of steam and may lose traction and may reverse very likely. So we have to be careful with these things. When we have such a signal, this is initial indication that something is developing, and traders should consider this and adjust their positions accordingly. Now we have initial negative signal as the faster line Tenkan-sen, red one, crossed below the slower one Kijun-sen, and both started to move lower. So from initial north heading, they turned into more sideways mode and then turned south. So we have initial signals that something is developing and the trend is likely to change. Initial indication was a break of Tenkan-sen below Kijun-sen, though we have here sort of a base. This was the floor of this range, congestion, consolidation, and we will not have confirmation until the price breaks below this level. So once we have a firmer signal, the price is already low, moving lower. So those who were long and were waiting for a fresh signal should at this point start liquidating their long positions in order to secure their profits that they already gained, and to reduce risk of losing some of the earned money on reversal. Now the descent becomes steeper as two lines are heading south steeply, and of course we see that the cloud is this area very thin. So as we mentioned previously, thinner clouds or cloud twists are usually magnetic and attracting price action. So when we see this, it could be indication that the price action may attack that cloud again, compared to the thick cloud, which could act as a very strong support and resistance. And the breach of the cloud and the price action moving below the cloud confirmed our signal that trend has reversed and it's moving lower. Once this downtrend bottomed here and started to reverse higher, now we have a formation of reversal pattern on this is a daily chart. So we have initial signal from the chart patterns, though today we are talking about other indicator. So our initial signal is now on the breach above Tenkan-sen line. We had 2 days close above Tenkan-sen line, which also turned sideways. So from initial steep south movement, south heading movement, it turned sideways. So it gives us initial indication that something is developing, and the existing downtrend, which was quite steep, is now running out of steam, and it may reverse. We have a quite good part of reversal already happened, but we need the confirmation of reversal, because it could be just correction and continuation lower. What could give us indication of this is these two doji candles that show a signal indecision. So what we need to see is turning the daily Tenkan-sen turning up from its sideways mode, and the price makes sustained break above it. So in this case, if the price continues higher, the Tenkan-sen line will continue to track it. So we have already confirmation that this recovery action from this low is going to extend further up. What will be looking next is our slower leading line is Kijun-sen, blue line. That will give us confirmation of a reversal in case the price breaks higher. Just above it lays the cloud base. In this case, cloud is very thick. So back to our previous comments when I said that thicker cloud provides more support or resistance. So the recovery, if it extends higher, would face quite strong headwinds in this zone. We have a cloud base, and it's reinforced by sideways moving Kijun-sen. Usually the price, this is a slower one, so it's likely going to stay in a sideways mode, no matter what direction the near-term action will take. So let's say if it continues going higher, this one will still be in a sideways mode, as it's slower moving average, and it takes time to react compared to the faster one that has that is more liquid and has stronger ranges, deeper or higher ranges. So when we see break here, we'll get additional signal that reversal is underway, and we can have confirmation, let's say, of our decision to enter market somewhere above once we are sure that this line starts to turn higher and the price sustains a break above it. Now I'm talking about textbook trading. So aggressive traders would likely enter somewhere here, but we want you to learn the proper textbook trading, because aggressive trading comes with experience, and usually those more experienced are more aggressive, not necessarily, but this is basically how it works, while less experienced traders should be more conservative in this case and follow the rules. So it's the best way to learn the main principles of technical trading and apply them accordingly, so we can minimize risk of losing our assets. So when we have a breach of the Kijun-sen and the daily cloud base, we have another signal. Though the price would face strong resistance here, and it might again stay within the cloud for some time, as the cloud is resistance, or may just hit and reverse lower, because there is a quite strong pressure. So in case of a scenario that the price reverses lower, we can say that the base of very thick daily cloud reinforced by daily Kijun-sen blocked or capped recovery action, and this shifts immediate risk to the downside. So whoever was long from here should think of either exiting the long position or tightening stops in order to minimize losses in case the market moves in the so-called wrong direction, so against our initial direction. Another scenario, if the price is boosted for this or that region and breaches above the cloud top, that will be a very strong signal that the trend has reversed and would likely focus again these highs here. So the tops of this range, though we can see now from the daily candles on this chart, they had quite long upper shadows, suggesting that there is strong resistance zone here. And we have to consider that if the bulls extend higher and increase our profits, we should face another strong resistance here. Now on the weekly chart, we have a breach of the thick cloud. Tenkan-sen is attempting below, actually is now in the parallel action, moving along with the Kijun-sen. So something is developing here. It could be reversal. We need more information here to get in order to generate more stronger trading signal. Now I want to show you how it would work on specific situation such was on US crude oil. Now we have a strong uptrend. This is hourly chart. So the uptrend started when the Tenkan-sen crossed above Kijun-sen line. So faster one crossed above the slower one. They were both running up, sometimes diverging, sometimes converging, but they tracked the uptrend. The cloud started to move higher and tracking this trend. So we have quite good signals that the trend is still quite strong and would likely extend higher. Now let's go to the daily chart of US crude oil. We had quite significant point here. The crude oil was in the 2.5 months steep downtrend. This is from the beginning of October 2018, and the trend ended end of December, so nearly 3 months steep downtrend. And we can see how the cloud was thickening and tracking this downtrend, along with the Tenkan-sen and Kijun-sen lines that were in steep downtrend in bearish setup. So the faster one is below the slower one, and both holding above the price. So the price was below. So we had quite good signals. Minor positive signals were generated here when the price probed several times above Tenkan-sen line, but without success and without confirmation, which required the extension above Kijun-sen line. Then we can talk about change of the trend, and proved that this trend was still alive and strong and continued lower. The trend bottomed here and then recovery started. We had initial signal here on the break above faster line Tenkan-sen, and next signal came on a breach above Kijun-sen, the price action breach above Kijun-sen. At the same time happened that Tenkan-sen, the faster leading line, broke above slower one Kijun-sen and headed towards daily cloud. Now again, thickness of the cloud presents a strength of the resistance or support. In this case it's resistance, and we can see several attacks to the base of the falling daily cloud. So it produced huge pressure, regardless to positive fundamentals that were helping crude oil at that time, a few days ago, to advance and extend recovery. Ichimoku studies showed us, despite initial signal and Tenkan-sen and Kijun-sen diverged, signal that the action is facing strong headwinds here and may have more difficulties to extend higher, despite, again, as I say, strong signals. So we had several rejections here, but the price action managed to stay above the Tenkan-sen line. This is our initial indicator that we follow. So as long as the price holds above, we have a sort of positive tone. We didn't see a clear break and close below Tenkan-sen. That would increase risk of deeper pullback or further weakening after the price was repeatedly rejected at thick daily cloud base, and as a result the price action eventually broke into cloud and now is heading towards the cloud top, which is in our case Senkou span B, so the other edge of the cloud, and tracked by Tenkan-sen line as well as Kijun-sen line that are both in the ascending mode and following tracking the uptrend. So we have a series of good signals. Of course, we need to consult other indicators to see to confirm our signals, but as I said, Ichimoku studies are complex and all in one, so we can get more information than from other indicators. So we had these two lines ascending and converging, signaling that momentum is rising. So we have more strength into this move, the faster pace of rallying, and finally we'll have a good bullish signal in case the price eventually breaks above cloud top and extends higher. So it would signal more retracement of this steep downtrend from the beginning of October until the end of December 2018. Now, just to add Fibonacci levels that we already spoke about, 38.2% is somewhere is our initial resistance. It's not reinforcing cloud top, which is a bit more far up, some 200 points. So I wanted to see if there is any reinforcement, but this is how it works. Now let's see on the weekly chart how it goes. A steep downtrend is showing signs of reversal. We gained the initial positive signal on lift above daily Tenkan-sen line, weekly Tenkan-sen line in this case. Tenkan-sen started to reverse higher, so we have initial signal. Now again, the cloud base is reinforced by Kijun-sen, so we are looking for a confirmation of our reversal if the price moves higher. So if the price breaches through Kijun-sen and the cloud base, we'll have next strong signal. Otherwise, if the price hits this level and the reverses lower, then it will be quite reasonable to consider exiting longs and waiting for a better opportunity, either to re-enter longs or just to book profits and wait for a clearer signal. So let's take a look on the other indicator, the other charts, other time frames. I want to show you that it works on any time frame and any instrument. So in this case, we have a reversal of the downtrend, cross of the price above Tenkan-sen, our initial bullish signal, cross of Tenkan-sen above Kijun-sen, as well as price action above Kijun-sen. So we have a double signal, positive signal here, which resulted in this move. Next signal was penetration into daily cloud. The cloud is descending and it's again thick, so it acts as a solid resistance. Now the weakening is attacking our Tenkan-sen line. So if we stay above in the next sessions above this line, that means that the price action may consolidate further before it continues higher. While if it breaks below Tenkan-sen line, that will be initial signal for a trader to consider either exiting or tightening stops in order to protect the profit that we took from entering into this recovery move. So we are watching Tenkan-sen line. In case it closes below today, that will be initial signal. In case it returns below cloud base, which is reinforced by Kijun-sen line, that will be next negative signal, and most likely it will signal that this recovery leg is over. So we should seriously think of exiting completely the long position and waiting for a better trading opportunity. Again, pardon. Again, negative signal generated on rally through cloud. So we had the price action. We had the initial signal of Tenkan-sen breaking below Kijun-sen. The price action was capped by cloud top, so it moved in the range within the cloud, and then steep acceleration lower. Tenkan-sen and Kijun-sen are in the bearish setup, and confirmation came on reversal on a break below the base of quite thick, in this case 4-hour chart Ichimoku cloud. So the price action extended lower. Now we are looking for further signals if we want to fine tune it. In the case, so it's the same instrument, just hourly chart. We have initial signal of reversal on hourly chart. The price action broke above faster moving average Tenkan-sen line, and this could be our initial signal that something is developing. Adding to the idea is that hourly cloud is very thin, and it may attract further recovery, which will need regaining daily Kijun-sen, hourly Kijun-sen to get a stronger signal. And of course, it will come then to basically the Kijun-sen is at 109.12, and on the 4-hour chart, the cloud is at 109, approximately the same level, 109.16. So we have on the various time frames, we have similar levels of resistance or support, so we can watch it. So basically on the hourly chart, we already generated the bullish signal on the break above Tenkan-sen line, and we are looking for 109.10.12 zone, which marks hourly Kijun-sen as well as 4-hour cloud base. So breach of this level would generate us a stronger signal. Otherwise, if we take a look now on the daily chart, Tenkan-sen is above the price, Kijun-sen is below, so we can expect some congestion here before the price establishes in the action. Why? Because the Tenkan-sen as a slower moving average is in the sideways mode, while Kijun-sen started to point lower. So it's already negative signal, and it may push the price higher, regardless that the cloud is very thin. We still have congestion here, and the breach of either side would give us a fresh direction signal. Both lines are still in the bullish setup. Tenkan-sen above Kijun-sen, but we have opposite directions of the indicators, so we need to see break of either side to generate a fresh signal.